Happy Monday. We hope you enjoyed your weekend. Here are the top stories and headlines from January 19th.
Today is what's called a day of service, and the food bank is hosting a food drive in honor of Dr. King. It will help restock the Virginia food banks. Organizers say it will reflect Dr. King's legacy through collective action. In Norfolk, the Food Bank of Southeastern Virginia will host a volunteer packing event. It starts this morning at 8 o'clock at the food bank headquarters on Tidewater Drive. The Apollo of the South, known as the Addicts Theater, will receive a historical marker today. The theater was built in 1919, financed, designed, and constructed by Black entrepreneurs. Some of the names that performed here include Ella Fitzgerald and Ruth Brown. It is a part of the historic Green Book, and today the ceremony will be held to unveil a new marker at the theater during the annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration Day. It starts in about an hour at 9 o'clock. The doors are open now. City leaders will then march from the Addicts Theater following the ceremony to the Martin Luther King Jr. Monument that's on Church Street.
A small fire broke out in a refrigerated cooler in a Food Lion in York County. This happened just before 1:30 yesterday afternoon at the store on George Washington Memorial Highway. Here's the thing, Fire Chief Alan Baldwin just happened to be shopping in the store at the time. So he was able to take command and direct the initial response until crews arrived. What are the odds of that?
Wow.
The fire was quickly knocked down and thankfully no one was hurt.
The Oak Grove Lake was renamed to honor a fallen police officer. It was renamed to the Timothy Shock Memorial Lake. Officer Timothy died during a training exercise in December of 2011. City Council approved the change during last Tuesday's meeting. Hampton police are investigating a crash involving several cars. It happened yesterday at the intersection of Armstead and West Pembroke Avenue. We're told everyone is expected to recover.
A Virginia Beach man will spend 45 years behind bars for a fraud and identity theft scheme. Court documents say Dion Camp defrauded romantic partners, credit unions, auto dealers, and strangers. Camp was convicted on 19 charges last March. If you're interested in all of the details on this case, we have that information for you on wavy.com.
We're following developing news in Newport News. A man is hurt after a shooting on Warwick Boulevard. That shooting happened just after 10 o'clock on Saturday night. We're told the man is expected to be okay, but if you know anything at all, you're asked to call the crime line or you can use the P3 Tips app.
January is the coldest month of the year on average. It may not have felt like that early on. Hello, we hit 70, but temperatures have dipped back below freezing this morning. 10 on your side's Michael Rinker has more on how people are dealing with it.
Winter is in full force, bringing several rounds of near freezing temperatures throughout the season, especially during January, which is the coldest month of the entire year. We wanted to figure out the science behind that and if that was common knowledge.
If I was to guess, February.
Man, I guess January. I would just have to go with January. Do you know?
It is.
It is. Okay. Okay.
Temps dropped to their lowest on average during January, and though he didn't know that off the top of his head, one HVAC worker does know how to beat the cold.
I got layers. I got this hoodie, I got this body armor, and I got a t-shirt. So 4 layers up top. My pants, you got them lined up right there. So I mean, preparation is key for everything, especially when you're fighting the weather.
For others, it's all in the mentality.
You just don't think about it, man. You just get up, you put your body in motion, and you get out here and deal with it. The hot hands, as you can see, these are some tricks that we have out here to like stay cold. Got them in the boots too.
Brian meant to say stay warm, but when it comes to why January is so cold, we asked our expert meteorologist Jeremy Wheeler.
So technically, this is the coldest average time of year. However, there's a lot of days in late January, early February, we get some cold shots and some big snows, and so it sinks those temps. So even though that's an average, maybe a little bit misleading.
And that means our friends at HVAC have some time before the cold is gone for good.
I actually recently started the HVAC last year, and I thought summer was brutal, and I was like, man, I can't wait to get to winter. But now, being in the winter, I miss the summer, man.
The American Red Cross says everybody should have a plan ahead of extremely cold weather, and to read more on that, head over to wavy.com. In Portsmouth, Michael Rinker, 10 on your side.
We're also looking at the goals for the new Attorney General Jay Jones after he took the oath of office over the weekend. Jones says there will be a 30-day review of all current lawsuits, including an agreement with Virginia and the DOJ for in-state tuition policies for students working to gain citizenship. Jones also announced several new units for the office. One of them includes one focused on drug trafficking.
Creating this dedicated drug trafficking unit is a huge priority for us. The child safety unit, again, for me, I have 2 young boys, so we want to make sure we're protecting children across this Commonwealth. And other folks who are coming in are really ready to hit the ground running and put these plans into practice and put them into action.
Jones was asked by our sister station WRIC if he'd keep programs made by former Attorney General Jason Miyares in place. While he didn't commit to keeping them, he did say he released his own plans to reduce overdose deaths. Your time now is 12:44. Let's get a look at your trending stories. Green Day will perform at the Super Bowl opening ceremony. I know my millennials remember this group. You know, wake me up when September ends. The world famous punk band will bring some hometown flavor. The band was formed in East Bay, the eastern part of the San Francisco Bay Area. Past Super Bowl MVPs will walk the field as Green Day performs. Bad Bunny is scheduled to perform as the Super Bowl's 60th halftime performer. Today is also a very special day for Tennessee's most famous resident. We're talking about Dolly Parton, the country superstar and businesswoman, I might add, celebrates her 80th birthday. Best known for her writing on songs like Jolene, 9 to 5, and I Will Always Love You, Parton has made her mark on the music industry. She has 10 Grammy Awards and 55 nominations. Parton's also known for her charity work, creating the Imagination Library to help childhood literacy. Her home state declared today Dolly Parton Day in her honor. A blockbuster sequel, an action thriller, and a country Americana legend are among this week's new digital and DVD releases available to your home library. Ashley DeVorkin has the rundown of what's new in your home entertainment.
It's the Wicked Witch! The blockbuster musical sequel, Wicked for Good, tops this week's list of new home releases. Cynthia Erivo's Elphaba remains in hiding as Ariana Grande's Glinda rises to power, forcing the two to confront their past and the future of Oz. Viva la revolution! Leonardo DiCaprio, Tiana Taylor, and Benicio del Toro lead one battle after another. The action thriller follows an ex-revolutionary forced back into conflict while searching for his missing daughter.
What if I made different choices?
Channing Tatum stars in the true crime drama Roofman, playing an ex-Army Ranger hiding out in a toy store while planning a heist until love puts his secret life at risk.
How's that sound?
Jeremy Allen White plays the boss in Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere, a biographical drama capturing the rocker's early 80s struggles while recording his landmark album Nebraska.
It was a different time.
In the 1930s set Fackham Hall, a charming pickpocket lands a job at an English estate and gets tangled in romance, murder, and family chaos.
Wanna hear my big news?
Available to rent or own on digital. The SpongeBob movie, Search for SquarePants, sends SpongeBob and Patrick on an epic underworld quest after they accidentally summon the ghost pirate Flying Dutchman. The film will be available on DVD and Blu-ray March 31st.
We're on your side this midday with a recall alert. 80,000 electric cars produced by Chevrolet are under recall. The Equinox EV pedestrian alert sound systems are not working properly. The agency says it fails to meet minimum sound requirements. So this means you can't hear a sound when traveling less than 6 miles per hour. GM says it'll make an update to the vehicle's software or offer dealership services. No accidents have been linked to this issue. New tax changes from the Big Beautiful Bill could add extra money to seniors on moderate or lower incomes. The new tax benefits begin this tax filing season. Many seniors older than 65 can claim new benefits, whether they take the standard deduction or itemized. The deduction is designed to help lower and middle income retirees keep more of their income. Right now, the extra deduction is not permanent and it is scheduled to end in 2028. However, it could be extended by Congress. The nation and Hampton Roads celebrates the legacy and message of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Today, a number of events across the region to celebrate what he stood for. And one of the biggest, of course, is always a march through the streets of Norfolk. 10 on your side's Nick Broadway was there, and he joins us live with the latest. Nick?
Aisha, we're at the end point of the march here at the intersection of Church Street and Brambleton, the site of the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial. It is here where they laid the wreath this morning, still there right now after their march. And this annual celebration held in Norfolk every year, celebrating the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr., began with a milestone just a few blocks down the street. There they unveiled the new historic marker for Attucks Theater. It etched into history the legacy of the theater and its story in Norfolk, known as the Apollo of the South, designed and built entirely by African Americans. Inside the theater this morning, many singers performed to a packed house, not an empty seat in sight, all singing and talking about the legacy of King Jr. Then the many hundreds of attendees filed out, marched down Brambleton to this memorial for the late civil rights leader.
Nick, thank you. With today being a day of service, a local food bank hosted a food drive in honor of Dr. King in Norfolk. Organizers say the event reflected Dr. King's legacy through collective action. You could see there lots of stuff going on. Volunteers came together to support food assistance efforts. That's there at the food bank of Southeastern Virginia and the Eastern Shore. This happened there at the headquarters on Tidewater Drive. There was also a food collection drive on the peninsula. Elected leaders, including the Newport News Mayor Philip Jones, Sheriff Gabe Morgan, they all volunteered to help. It happened at the Peninsula Food Bank located in Hampton.
As we go through the day tomorrow, another reinforced shot of cool air moves in. It really all moves in tonight. Watch as temperatures drop down into the low 30s and eventually the upper 20s as we go throughout the very late overnight hours and into early tomorrow morning. So a cold start to the day tomorrow. It's just going to be staying cold all day long for your Tuesday. The good news is it's dry right now, and it likely will continue that way as we go through at least the next 24 to 48 hours. We do have some snow, though, to our north. Some of those areas into the Great Lakes who have been just battered with system after system, they're getting another round of lake effect snowfall, especially towards Buffalo, western parts of New York, even into parts of Pennsylvania and Michigan, seeing some of those streaks coming off the Great Lakes there. Some pretty hefty snowfall rates in some of those bands. Tonight, though, for our area, it's chilly. It's a clear, though. Northwesterly breeze, 5 to 10 miles per hour, will keep us cold. Temperatures in the low 20s for inland areas, around 26, maybe 25 degrees for the Hampton Roads cities. As you work towards the coastline, we're just a little bit warmer, but look at that. Even towards Corolla, we're at around 32 degrees coming up tonight. So it is going to be cold pretty much everywhere. As we head into the day tomorrow, this should be a sunshine icon. We're going to be seeing sunshine from start to finish. We'll see temperatures, though, into the 30s and 40s. It is going to be a cool day coming up for the day tomorrow. Again, sunshine from start to finish, so at least we'll have that to kind of help things out. Eventually, we'll warm back up to around 54 coming up for the day on Thursday. That's out ahead of this next system we're going to be tracking as we head into the weekend. And it's got the cold air to work with. This is high temperatures for the next 5 days. And on Saturday, could be looking at a high temperature of just around 32, and that lasts into the day on Sunday as well. So we could be looking at some snowfall with this next system. Again, it's super far out. Here's what the current GFS is saying. A little bit of rainfall out ahead of it coming up for the day on Friday, especially for areas south of the state line. Then as we head into Saturday, with cold air in place being brought in from high pressure to the north and the southern storm track that we could see here, if this were to come together, we could be looking at a snowfall event coming up for the day on Saturday and into Sunday, and maybe even a significant one at that. Again, still really far out when it comes to this, and this model is likely going to change plenty of times as we go throughout the next couple of days. That's the GFS. The European, pretty much a good amount of agreement here. A little bit of rainfall south of the state line coming up on Friday. The cold air is in place, and here comes some more moisture on Saturday and then into Sunday. A little bit more of a rain-snow mix as you go south with this model. More snowfall north, but again, this is another one of those models that's going to change plenty of times as we head through the next couple of days. So stay tuned for updates for that Saturday and Sunday potential winter weather event. We'll have the details for you as we go forward.
A historic school that helped improve education for African Americans across the South is once more giving back to the community.
Today, the former Washington Rosenwald School in Northampton County was dedicated as a community center. 10 on your side's Andy Fox was there and has reaction from former students.
This is the grand opening of the Impact Center. It is built on the site of Cape Charles Elementary School, a Washington Rosenwald school. Built in 1929 for the purpose of educating African American children in the segregated South. The school shut down in 1966, remained empty since, except for a few years as a warehouse. But now, today, a new purpose. The Impact Center is here. Executive Director William Weeks.
To push that legacy forward with programming and other events that we're going to be engaging in to certainly be a benefit to the community.
Around 200 showed up to welcome in a new community center.
1, 2, 3.
After all these years, former students found their way back to their old school, now on a new mission.
It's a positive atmosphere. Don't remember a lot of negative things because I guess us being so young, some things are taught. If it's not taught to you, then you don't experience it.
Valentine Elliott moved here in 1955 to a new school.
Look out at that sidewalk over there. I used to play hopscotch over there, jump rope.
In this community room, they showed pictures of the construction process, a labor of love, years in the making. This is Diane Davis getting her diploma from the school, 1962.
Of course, you know, this is during segregated times. We had an excellent experience coming, even though we had to walk to school. We had an excellent experience. We had excellent teachers. Our parents were very concerned about our education.
Everyone agrees you could not have picked a better day to dedicate and have a ribbon cutting for something called an Impact Center. An Impact Center that brings a community together.
Thank you, Andy. Virginia made history this weekend, swearing in its first female governor, Abigail Spanberger. The new Democratic leadership wasted no time on day one, reshaping leadership at public universities and taking a stance against the Trump administration. Immediately after swearing in, Spanberger rescinded a Youngkin-era directive that expanded Virginia's cooperation with federal immigration enforcement. The order ends a requirement that state police and corrections officials enter into agreements with ICE, arguing the policy diverted limited law enforcement resources away from core public safety. In her speech, Spanberger talked about working across the aisle, but took a measured, firm stance against the Trump administration.
You are worried about an administration that is gilding buildings while schools crumble, breaking the social safety net and sowing fear across our communities, betraying the values of who we are as Americans, the very values that we celebrate here on these steps.
Spanberger also overhauled leadership at 3 major public universities that had been the target of that outgoing administration for DEI practices. The University of Virginia, George Mason University, and the Virginia Military Institute are seeing nearly 30 new board member appointments.
The son of Holocaust survivors has returned to his home country, worried that the most vulnerable in and around Israel are at risk. At an unlicensed daycare center in Jerusalem today, 2 children died and dozens of others were rushed to hospitals. The cause remains under investigation. About 50 miles away in Gaza, newborns are dying from exposure as thousands of Palestinians are forced to live in damaged buildings or makeshift tent cities. After the war that started with the Hamas attack on October 7th, 2023.
I saw it in the arms of the father, and it breaks my heart. I have family members here who used to go to the Gaza border and take sick Gazan people to hospitals in Israel. For us to see a baby that dies under these circumstances is a pain that we just don't know what to do with it.
There's a pain of another kind, as the rabbi says. President Donald Trump has fanned the flames of protest in Iran.
Tensions are rising between the U.S. and our European allies. President Donald Trump is threatening to slap 8 European countries with higher tariffs over their objections to U.S. control of Greenland. Raquel Martin explains how this battle is now impacting the economy.
President Trump's threat rattled global markets and prompted European leaders to hold an emergency meeting on Sunday. Right now, those leaders are warning that if the president is to follow through, it could damage economies both across the Atlantic and here.
It's not easy when we wake up every morning to new threats.
European leaders are pleading with the U.S. to stand down as President Trump ramps up his pursuit for Greenland.
It is a very serious situation.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer warned Monday President Trump's efforts, which now include the threat of additional tariffs, are misguided.
This has been very badly received across the United Kingdom. We're allies of the United States.
The pleas so far are falling on deaf ears. Following an emergency meeting between U.S. and European leaders, President Trump doubled down online. And Monday, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent tripled down.
I think everyone should take the president at his word.
The Trump administration argues the U.S. needs Greenland for national security reasons.
We're not going to have Russia or China occupy Greenland.
New text messages Norway released Monday reveal another driving factor. In a message to the Norwegian Prime Minister, President Trump writes, quote, "Considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars, plus I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be a predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America." At this point, European leaders are not threatening any retaliation. For now, in Washington, Raquel Martin, back to you.
A Las Vegas-style Sphere entertainment destination may soon come to the D.C. region.
The governor of Maryland announced a tentative deal to develop a Sphere at the National Harbor in Prince George's County, right next to the existing MGM Casino and Hotel. We're told the project would utilize $200 million in state, local, and private incentives. The Sphere would create roughly 2,500 jobs during the construction phase and more than 4,700 permanent ones.
Now, once open, the governor's office says the economic impact of Sphere National Harbor is expected to be greater than $1 billion annually.
A man who helped bring decades of fun to Hampton Roads has died.
Organizers of the Suffolk Peanut Festival announced the passing of 68-year-old Joel Cadwell. 10 on your side's Angela Bohan has more from Suffolk.
On this cold January day, it's pretty quiet out here at the Suffolk Executive Airport, but come fall, this place is packed. But now, those who organize the Suffolk Peanut Festival will have to do it without a man who poured his heart into providing entertainment for so many. Joel Cadwell, who went by Jody, is described by loved ones as a man who was hardworking, honest, and witty. Organizers of the Suffolk Peanut Festival tell me Cadwell spent more than 30 years in the special events industry. Teresa Earls is devastated about the loss. She worked with Cadwell and told me if the saying, "don't sweat the small stuff," was a person, it would be Jody.
He was just one of those easygoing people that he didn't sweat the small stuff. He was not going to get all worked up for anything because you can manage it or it was going to be what it was going to be. You can't control the weather. That's what he told me all the time. Because, you know, when you're doing outdoor events, that's the worst possible thing to have to worry about.
Jody Cadwell was also instrumental in providing other area carnivals like the one at Mount Trashmore in Virginia Beach.
Thanks, Angela. It may be Monday, but many of you may be home for the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Julia Avery is on your side with what Hampton Roads you need to be aware of for your commute as you head back to work this week. She has this 10 time saver traffic alert new at 4.
We have another week full of construction work. While some of you did have a 3-day weekend, the construction does not stop. So we need to talk about what you can face this week. We have projects on the James River Bridge as well as up in Williamsburg and the Monitor Merrimack. We're going to start with the James River Bridge. Now this one's a little bit complicated, so let me explain. There will be single lane closures all throughout the week. It will start in the southbound lanes. That'll be Monday and Tuesday from 9 until 2. And then on Wednesday, they'll close a single lane in the northbound direction from 9 to 2. And then Thursday and Friday back in the southbound direction, a lane will be closed from 9 until 2. Now, Headed up to Williamsburg, Hummelstein Parkway. There will be a single lane closure in the eastbound direction, and that'll be near the Long Hill Road area. That's Tuesday and Wednesday. They will have that lane closed, and that will be from 9 until 3. Monitor Merrimack, we are going to see a single lane close in a northbound direction. That is on Thursday from 9 until 1 p.m. And I will be here every morning to remind you of these closures. I'm Julia Avery, 10 on your side.